everyone. Your designers are here.
I'm Anita from Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly from My Soulful Home. And we have tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about how to decorate a mantle. We have a lot of tips for you and some thoughts about what goes on a mantle and what goes above a mantle. So let's get rolling here. How about Yvonne? Why don't you tell us how you feel about decorating a mantle?
Oh my goodness, that's one of my favorite things to decorate in my whole house. And usually when I'm decorating for different seasons or holidays like Christmas or like the fall for the season, that's the very first thing I decorate. It just sort of sets the mood for my whole house.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a little focal point.
It is. It's easy to do if you have the right elements, and it just gets me going.
Well, I like anything that gets you going, sweetheart.
Yeah, that's
And I think of when I think of mantles and pillows, I think Stone Gable.
Oh, thank you. And vignettes.
And vignettes. Okay, the queen of all
And baked
three.
oatmeal.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Yvonne, so your love of mantle, how does it manifest itself?
Say
What do
that
you do?
again. I didn't hear you.
What do you do to decorate your mantle first?
Well, the first thing that I think about when I'm decorating a mantle, obviously, is the size of the mantle, the placement of the mantle, how big the surface is to decorate. But even before I do that, I want to know what I'm going to put behind the mantle. What I'm going to hang, if there's the walls big enough, can the wall stand alone? Is it interesting enough to stand alone? Like, is it a beautiful stacked stone or something like that? Or does it need a little focal point? What do I put on that mantle? That's the first thing I'll think about.
Oh, that's good to
Okay.
think of think of all the layers of what's going on your mantle.
Yes, but that's where I start. As long as I know how wide the ledge is, then the first thing I go for is what's going to go behind there.
Oh, that's a good thought.
Now, when you say behind, are you talking about perched on it or something hanging on it?
Well, you can perch something, but I'm thinking something that takes up that visual space in back of a mantle. Most mantles, are from, like chest high and above, a little bit above. So and most walls are taller. We have 9-foot ceilings, so we have a lot of wall to cover. What's going to go behind that? Because I think it looks awfully plain if you don't put something behind there. And I used to have a mirror behind my mantle, but my mantle's a little on the high side, and I had it there for years. It was a beautiful mantle, but all I would look at when I looked into it was my ceiling. And one day it hit me, why am I looking at my ceiling? And so I'm not a big fan or I haven't had a good experience with having a mirror up on my mantle, so I don't use that anymore.
No, okay.
How about you, Kelly?
Well, my mantle in this house actually has a mirror in it. The house is from 1886, and while the fireplace is not original, because there was an earthquake and the original fireplace
that's terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was so long ago, but the original fireplace, it was, I guess, irreparably damaged in that, and it was one that went into the dining room and the living room, and so the you can still see the base of it, but when they fixed it, which was in the early 1900s, they put it on the exterior wall. So it's of that period. It has columns. It has the shelf type mantle that you would
yes.
always see,
I
but
know
then
what
it has
that is.
another
Yeah.
piece on top of it that has an oval mirror, a horizontal oval mirror in it. So I already have a mirror, and then there's a shelf on top of that, another mantle, and I do have space up there, and that's one of the spots in my house that I am honing in on what should go there. But so I like a mirror above it. I love the way this looks, but I do like on a more typical mantle also like a mirror, because I think it bounces around what's happening in the room.
I've got an issue, and I think a lot of listeners have the same problem. My TV is above my mantle. So, and I actually it's hidden by doors, but those doors swing out. So as much as I would love to put something big and splashy on my mantle or some beautiful artwork, I can't because those doors are there. So it really does limit me. It's very frustrating, but I like the TV being hidden, so I just have to deal with it.
But also, you don't have space where you could put like a barn door and a tract above because you have those beautiful cabinets on either side. Isn't that right?
That's right. Well, and the it comes out. So yeah, it's I
Hmm.
wouldn't be able to do a track because the fireplace juts out slightly.
Hmm.
So I have the doors which work fine,
Do
but
they go all the way out and then tuck back in on the
they
sides?
they can swing all the way out,
Hmm.
but but then I have usually something tall on the side, so I have to be careful not to
Sure.
swing them out too far.
Yeah. Oh, sure, sure.
So how do you feel about just having it before we get into the tips on actually decorating a mantle? Let's just follow this thought a little bit. What do you think about having a TV but having it exposed, no doors, above a mantle? This is a hot topic in
Oh.
decorating land.
Well, we have the our house in the mountains that we use as a vacation rental, and that's exactly what we did. There's a TV there. There was no other place to put it, and it's on the mantle. I hate it, and I don't watch a lot of TV, so honestly, I wish it wasn't even there. But for rentals, we have to have it there, and I don't know. I don't like it, but I don't. For now, we're just having to deal with it.
We had that in our former house. We were lucky enough to have two fireplaces. So the living room one, I had a piece of art, a painting above, and then decorated the mantle.
Hmm.
But in the family room, the TV was there, but it really didn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to. Maybe because I was, I had another mantle I could, go crazy with decorating. I was able to put things on either side, whether just some candlesticks and maybe some seasonal things. But I didn't want to sacrifice, the function of the family room, and that's the kids were littler then, and they liked to watch TV, or we'd watch a movie as a family. And it was kind of nice when you're watching a movie and you had the fireplace on, you're
Oh yeah.
looking at it. So it doesn't bother me as much as it might bother other people. I think a little bit of fluff over function is not always the best way to go. So we
Well, and
went
there
with
are
it and enjoyed it the way it was.
there's some really cute things you can do to disguise the TV as well. A friend of mine has hung a map above her TV and just pulls it down when they're not watching TV.
Like
I
one of
think
the
that's
old-fashioned school maps.
right,
That
like
kind.
an old-fashioned school map, and then they just pull it up
Oh,
when they're
fun.
watching TV. It looks
That's
really
adorable.
charming.
Right, and that was probably a pretty inexpensive way to go too, rather than having doors created and sliding or pocket doors. That can get pretty expensive. And as Yvonne was saying, depending on what you have going on in either side of your fireplace, which is oftentimes some bookshelves or something, sometimes you can't do that.
What
Well,
a great
let's get
solution.
into what you would put on that horizontal plane of the mantle. So, I think somebody mentioned layers. Yvonne, do you work in layers when you do that?
Well, I just want to take a step back because this is actually part of the layers. What I've decided works best on my mantle is I have a big clock, and it was at one time had a brown frame around it, this big round brown. It just looked too brown for me, so I painted it, and I painted it a double layer, like a chippy white and sort of gray, and it softened that whole area up because
It's beautiful.
my yeah, thank you, my fireplace and the mantle is all white, and then I've got a very light colored, a sort of an off-white paint on the wall. So I use that, and then sometimes in the years I have a big window from a big old house that's clear glass, just the frame, and that looks really great around the holiday time too.
Oh,
So
great idea.
most of the times I put a clock, and then sometimes I change that out and use a window because it's transparent, but the frame gives you a nice just a nice background without it being too busy. But I think one of the things that when you're talking about decorating a mantle, you really have to keep layering in mind. You want to put something in front of whatever that is that you've chosen in back of your uh, in, to hang on the wall or be propped on the wall, and you want to layer things in front of that and maybe something in front of that because you want to give it some depth and some interest, and I think that's an important thing to do. And as you layer them, obviously you go from biggest, the tallest, to medium to small, and you can it brings a lot of interest. You can overdo it, you don't want to do a lot of that, but a little bit of that goes a long way.
Well, but that works great unless you've got the TV there.
Yeah,
Then
that's true.
or
We're
with me
just
the doors, so I have to be careful.
we're
Right.
talking.
So
Can we talk about um, mantles that don't have doors? Is that okay?
well, we can do both. We
Okay.
can cover it
All
all.
right.
So Yvonne is obviously talking about a mantle that doesn't have any restrictions above it, and you can go a little higher. Layers are a great idea, and people may not think about layering on a mantle because it, as you mentioned, it is such a narrow surface. But you can get a lot on there, or just enough on there to give it that depth and sort of give it that visual interest. I think that that's a great idea. And Anita, are there other ways that you might add some visual interest to a mantle that doesn't have a TV or doors ahead of it?
Well,
on
even
top
if
of
it does have the TV or doors, my suggestion is to use the highs and lows, and I just work around my door. So I do something high on either side and then low in the center. And I'm just going to say, I've worked with a lot with clients, and it seems you're helping them decorate their homes. And I've found that the fireplace seems to be one of the problem areas for most clients. That just seems to be something that's really very difficult for them to really pull it together. And usually I just end up helping them pull something from a different part of the room and put it there. One of the big issues I've found is not getting something tall enough on the sides of the fireplace. A mantle. So I do feel like you really want something tall somewhere on there, and probably on the left and the right sides, and then something maybe shorter in the center. Like Yvonne said, if you can put some artwork there that's tall, that's fabulous, and layer on top. I think that's a great idea. But you definitely want something, I think, tall there on your fireplace if you can fit it in, because it's such a visually big space. If you just have these tiny little things on the fireplace, it's going to look off kilter.
It'll look
Yeah, I
busy.
agree because
It'll
you're
look
dealing with the
cluttered.
fireplace itself, which is a tall thing, like going up to about your chest, and then if you put something little squattish things on there, it doesn't really balance. So yeah,
Right.
I like that idea too, and the highs and lows, and again, it creates that interest and wraps your eye around. I like putting something organic up on the mantle, whether it's because you have sort of fire element, and and if you add something else organic, whether it be some antlers or pine cones or greenery or some not necessarily seasonal greenery, just something clipped, some even pretty branches or something. And if they're tall enough, you can put them in a vase and create height that way as well.
Or boxwood balls, or the boxwood wreaths, or something like that.
Right.
That'll
Right.
look beautiful. And that's sort of also you can use boxwood and greenery as a repeated element on your mantle. And I think repeating an element on your mantle is visually pleasing. Like if you do have boxwood balls, you could I have a tiny little stool that actually fits right onto my mantle, and it's black, and if I put a plant or something organic, or let's use that boxwood ball in a little urn, it gives that height. Then I'll repeat that boxwood maybe in a another dish or an urn or a little bowl on the other side of the mantle, because again you want to vary those heights, and it's a repeated element and it's something organic, so you are just killing three birds with one stone.
Right. I love that.
I like to use pictures.
Me
I don't
too.
know, pictures on my
too.
mantle. I love. I and books, covered books. I cover books in burlap and put them as risers on my mantle, and I put them horizontally as a riser, but then vertically as just something pretty display, like you display books. And again, it's a repeated element. It ties both sides of the mantle together.
I love that. I love that. That's a great idea. And talking about the repeated elements, that is something that people should consider in all areas of decorating, and certainly in a focal point like a mantle. It carries your eye around, right? So it brings your eye through what the vignette, or through this styled area, and it's just really pleasing. I mean,
Hmm.
instead of just seeing like a blotch of green or a patch of something, there's that flow, which, you want to create in your entire home from
Hmm.
room to room, and then you create on smaller scales in these little vignettes. And so limiting the type of objects that you put in, and limiting the color palette, I think really
Mm.
helps create that flow. So it's not like a stop and start. Like, I don't have, one element and then something completely different and then yet another thing. And, six or seven completely different items that don't relate to each other. So you want to have things that create the flow. So you're doing the repetition, as
Hmm.
Yvonne mentioned, and to limit the types of items
Hmm.
or the color palette that you're using.
I think that is such a huge decorating point. I think you can do that throughout your house. If you do, I'm very much into limiting a colored palette or limiting certain items, or I call it tightening it up. If it's just a tight color palette, I just think it's so pleasing to the eye. And I just think, using texture or whatever instead of lots and lots of colors is a much more sophisticated look. So, Kelly, that is such a good tip.
Wow, are we all in agreement on this? I'm
We
shocked.
are.
And that is what you just I feel like we're all in agreement here, because what I've done on my mantle right now, I have a a limited color palette. I have blue and white pictures,
Mhm.
and I have three pictures in the center, and then on the ends I have candlesticks. And
Mm.
I just love the candlesticks for a fireplace because they just feel
Mhm.
very fireplacey. It's an easy way to get something tall with some height, and you can put candles in there and light them. But it's just the height is really easy to get with the candlesticks, and they just seem to make sense there. So I just love, like you said, the limited color palette, the
Mhm.
repeated elements, and then some tall candlesticks on the sides. I love that look.
Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health: potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's zero sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince: the price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
And can I just add this? We don't use candlesticks, but we use tall candlestick lamps. They
Mm.
look like,
Oh,
they're very tall, they're very thin, and they have little tiny lampshade hats on them.
oh, cute.
And this is a tip for anybody who's thinking about either putting in a mantle or redoing one. I have an electric plug on my mantle, on the horizontal space of my mantle.
Smart
So
woman.
yeah, well, my
Good
builder was smart.
planning.
Yeah, and then I can just plug my lamps right into those, and they have that candlestick look, and they give such beautiful height.
I
Love
want to
that
know
idea.
about these little candlestick lamps. They're not the battery operated one, they plug in, huh?
Yeah, no,
But
not
what
these,
about
but
it?
I've seen those too.
What about using a battery operated light too? I think that's a
Okay.
great idea.
I'm just wondering this. I don't know if they'd be. I've seen them and they're not too tall, but I'm thinking about something that might be a little taller.
Well,
But
we
yeah,
can put
that might work.
some of those books under them, like you talked about, wrapped in the burlap.
Exactly. Great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, the battery operated. There's the battery operated candles, of course, and I just got some really pretty tapers from Pier 1, and they're battery operated, and
Oh,
I'm
I
going to put
love
them in
those. Yeah.
sconces, because I don't want it to, I worry obviously about a fire hazard,
Yeah.
and particularly since I'm the little piggy who built the wooden house. So, or some little
Me
ancient
too.
piggy built my house, so I don't want it to burn down. So I bought these, and they're really pretty, and they look great in these sconces I got on Etsy from this lovely lady, and they were so inexpensive, and
Cool.
I love them.
And
Um,
this is a cautionary note, Kelly. What you said, our listeners have to take to heart. It is so important that you watch that you don't get soot on your ceiling. If you do, it's a big fire hazard. My sister had soot on her ceiling, and they came to redo her. She had a redo of her house, and they said, because of what we use today to paint, it could start a huge fire. So that's a very,
Wow.
very good point. So we're
so
just
the soot could it combine
well,
with the
if you
paint?
have soot, that means there's heat going up, and
Wow.
whatever it gives off, and it can cause a fire.
Interesting. Well, we
Ouch.
haven't been
Yep,
using the
good point.
fireplace in this house because it needs some major repairs, and I don't even know that we're going to ultimately ever use it. So maybe we can do another episode someday about what you do inside a fireplace that either is not functioning or for the season you're not using it. I would love to get your thoughts on
I
that.
love that. And there's so many beautiful things you can do, fireplace screens, candles in there. That would be fun.
That would be a lot of
let's
fun.
put that on the list of things to chat about. So, how about a little nod to the season on your mantle? I like to do that. I think it's fun. I mean, I don't get too cutesy in my decor. And maybe I did when the girls were younger. I don't really do too many bunnies or cupids or elves on shelves and stuff like that. I think it's super cute, but I don't know. I just don't want to live with that sort of stuff. So I might put something, but more like, flowers in the colors of whatever holiday, or even on St. Patrick's Day, I take out my grandma's Balik teacup that she used to let me drink my tea out of, which was really just like a pile of sugar with some hot stuff in it. So, and I'll put that with maybe a little
yum.
shamrock or something. But I just do a little bit of something. Do you change your mantle for the seasons?
I do.
Or the holidays?
I do, but I really stay away from cutesy. That's just not my thing. I mean, if that's your thing, that's wonderful. Go for it. But I keep a very limited color palette. I've sort of hit on a design I like. My candles stay. My candle stick lights stay. I have black shutters on either side that sort of define that space, old chippy shutters, so they
Beautiful.
stay. And then I work sort of in that, and I'll bring out in probably about 6 weeks my tulips that go in that for spring,
Oh,
and
great idea.
summer is all about, I have topiaries that look like little olive trees and things like that. and fall is definitely a beautiful, a vase filled with colorful branches. And, I don't go overboard, but there's definitely a nod there because I just can't stand leaving it alone.
Yeah.
One,
Because it's
I
fun.
know, I love it. One year for 4th of July, instead, I took everything off the center of my mantle and I made these great big pinwheels out of burlap and I painted them striped red, white, and blue and flowers and um,
You're so clever.
oh, and made these huge big round pinwheels and hung them from the ceiling at different heights. That was a lot of work. I
Wow.
won't visit that again. But I got into decorating with some red, white, and blues in my neutral family room. So yeah, sometimes I'd go a little crazy every once in a while, but mostly it's just a small nod.
What Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
I love what you said about leaving sort of a foundation. You keep your candlesticks, you have your shutters, and I think that is a really good practice. I do that as well. Once you find something that works on the mantle, that gives you the height, maybe you have some layers, then you can sort of tuck in some more things or, remove one or more of the foundational elements and put something in for the season. So, it's easy for people to do that, and it always looks good with your the bones of it.
You're right. But the one thing I want to caution is just limit your types of items. You don't want to get too many things on there. You don't want too many round boxwood balls, or you don't want too many pictures, or you don't want too many things of tulips. A couple are fine, but or too many books. You just want to keep a nice balanced number. And when I'm doing mantles, I would say, less is more for a mantle. I can't believe I actually said those words.
I so
I
agree
just
with
fell
that.
over. Did you say except for pillows?
Except for
well,
pillows.
just when I'm talking about mantles and about the number of items on your mantle.
Well, but I agree with that in pretty much anywhere in design. You want fewer, bigger things versus a lot of little things. I think just kind of having some restraint with what's on your mantle. It's kind of what we talked about. If you kind of restrain how many things are on there and how many types of things are on
That's
there.
right.
And just have those fewer,
edit,
bigger things.
edit, edit, edit.
Yes.
When you are done, always look at what you do, no matter what it is. But today we're talking mantles, and you want to edit what you've done. I maybe let it sit for a day. I maybe can't stand to let it sit for a day.
Oh, so here's
but I
going
let
back
it-
to our previous episode. How about taking a picture of it and then looking at the picture on your computer?
That's a great idea. But you always want to look at it with a critical eye, not like, oh, I hate this, but just a eye that wants a curated look.
Yes.
A look that is beautiful and consistent and works well together and is not overcrowded.
Oh,
Excellent
beautifully said.
point. Really
Beautifully
well
said.
said. Yeah.
Not overcrowded.
Once in a while I come up with something, but
Oh no, that was great. No, I think we covered a lot of the topics today, and we can talk more about mantles and what maybe you go inside of a fireplace that you're not using on another day. But thanks so much for joining us today for episode 8. Remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. Hey there, if you're loving our podcast like we're loving our podcast, we would love you to rate and review us. Head to iTunes to do that. It's easy and it would mean so much to us. And if you do rate and review us, we're going to enter you to win a fantastic giveaway. The details for the giveaway are in the show notes for this episode, and you can find the show notes at decoratingtipsandtricks.com.